Yo, yo, yo. It is Motivational Monday. The weekend is over. We're
Oh,
back on
nice
that
hat,
hustle and
son.
grind. It's Monday. Y'all know how we do. We drop jewels and we say beautiful things to help you get your week started. I figure I sport this a little something, something just to start the show, get
I
in the
like
right,
it. I
right
like it.
frame of mind. You know how that
This
goes.
what we gonna do. This what we gonna do. We gonna do our It's Just Comedy Hat Day.
Okay?
You
Because
got the
people don't,
brown joint. I got the black joint on.
people
You know what I'm
don't, we
saying?
don't
Look,
get a chance to see the flavors. We don't get a chance to see how this all goes down. But this is what we do every week, every Monday. We here to just motivate you, get that engine started, and let y'all know that it's a beautiful thing. It's a new week, new ways for us to be motivated, new ways for us to approach the upcoming week, only to make it as phenomenal as you could possibly make it. My name is Amir A. Rock Sealy, or Amir Sealy, for those of y'all who know me. That man on the other side of me is the one and only great talent. Before I get to him, I'm just going to say this to y'all real quick. My weekend was okay. It wasn't nothing great. It wasn't nothing to brag about. It was just okay. I'm gonna just keep it 1,000. I kind of didn't do anything this weekend. Then yesterday I was a bit under the weather. I can't even lie. And for those who know and don't know, I'm doing Ramadan, so that may have played a part in it. I ain't even 100% sure, but I just know I wasn't doing well yesterday. So finally, late, I took a leave and it made me sweat and all this stuff. And I woke up this morning feeling freaking incredible. So sometimes, even though I know those of us who don't like to take, medications and this and that and the third, sometimes you may just have to take one just to kind of jumpstart your system again or get it back up and running like it needs to be. So I'm feeling good about that. I'm happy. I'm dealing with some other stuff. Talk about motivation. I can't report to work because I didn't get vaccinated. The job is giving me heck about that. So, look, you guys just got to have some fun. You got to enjoy your life. You can't be mad about, all this stuff. But with that having been said, let's get to the topic at hand. This man over here probably has had an incredible weekend. Matter of fact, he's been doing some back-to-back dope weekends. Let's keep it a
yeah,
thousand. If you're following
yeah.
him and watching his flyers, you know it's been incredible. So, talent, how was your weekend, King?
Stupendous. First of all, I want to put this. I'm glad you said that. Back to back to back to back. A bunch of shit work. Good, all good thing, not a bad thing. But I'm glad you said that because we got to put that out there. Remind people, like I said in one of the shows, if I don't get back to you quick or I don't get back to you in a timely fashion, ain't nothing wrong. I'm just fucking hectic. It ain't, sometimes it ain't about you. I'm tired of these little encrypted personal inboxes and messages. Word. No word. A nigga is fucking keeping food on a million families' plates and tables. You know what I mean? Keep in mind, talent. I know a lot of y'all see talented comedians just think there's just that. So much more than that. So it ain't that talent just put food on his plate. I keep food on hundreds of plates all year round. So keep that in mind when you wondering why, oh, he ain't hit me right back or oh, he ignored me. It's not, sometimes it's just not about you. Damn. I thought I said that shit before, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to the good news. The good news is great weekend, bro. Uh they did a test, a show. I don't know if you've seen the flyer for the Def Comedy Jam reunion.
Yes.
So it was started off just being a one-off show. And it looks like it's gonna be a tour, like what I do with the New York Kings, and what I do sometime with some of my other tours. It looked like this thing has picked up some steam and leadway. Before we even
Nice.
got to doing the show, we ended up being in 4 or 5 cities. It started off a one-off. And the good thing is how you get the trend or the vibe where it's gonna be is all about who picks it up. It's one thing to be picked up by a couple of promoters in a couple of places. It's another thing when a chain picks you up because they have the avenues and the resources to give you how many other stores they got, so to speak. If they got,
Right.
if the improv has 60 improvs and they pick you up, that's 60 cities right there. Same thing
Nice.
with the Funny Bone, same thing with Helium, all of these major comedy clubs, Punchlines, all these comedy clubs that we know about, comedy factories, comedy stores, all that. So that's a good thing. Like we knocked it out of the park in a fashion that everybody eyebrows went up like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? And a fun fact is this, right? So coming fresh from we did 2 shows at Bethesda Jazz and Blues Club in Maryland Saturday, back to back, 2 sold out, right? I mean, it was so bad, Amir, we wanted to beat the promoter up because this greedy motherfucker didn't even save seats for our people. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to take care of the guests of the
Yeah.
artists. He knew though, so we let him go. He's a nice guy. He's new, so we schooled him and let him go, let him get this one. But he was like, "Oh man, we sold out." I was like, "Great, where you gonna put my family?" He said, "Family." Oh, we sold every seat. I said, "Bro, you can't do that." Right? So that was Saturday. Then we go to Virginia Beach, Funny Bone, and we sell out the 2 shows over there. Now, the funny thing is, last night in Virginia Beach, the other big tour that's out is in town. D Ray's on this tour called the No Cap Tour.
Okay.
So they're in town. DC Young Fly, him, whatever. So he calls Angus Black, who's a comedian from out of there, funny dude, who's actually part of our tour, right? So he calls him, was like, "Yeah, man, just let you know, man, we in town, man, if you want to come out." So Angus was like, "Come out." He was like, "Nigga, I got a tour popping tonight. We got 2 shows at the fucking Funny Bone." He was like, "This is D-Ray." He said, D-Ray said, "Oh, man, that's stupid. Why do you do that on the same night?" He said, "First of all, my shit was up for sale first. Then you came." He said, "I wasn't, and my shit started selling so fast. I was about to cancel my shit because you in town. Everybody get a bag." You know what I mean? So long story short, I don't know how they showed it, but we knocked the shit home. Double sellout, back-to-back nights. And this is what I love. And this is why people, when I tell you to stay motivated, stand up for something or you fall for anything. And it's going to work out for you if you have faith. Now, you see me in the mirror, both of us are wearing merch hats. He got the brown, it's just comedy jammed with the circle. I got the Run MC style, it's just comedy in black. So, because I know these shows are sold out, we're talking about just under about 2,000 people I'm going to be around show-wise. So I said, okay, it's going to be tough. I gotta pack a lot of merch. I hate running out. So I get there with all this merch in the back of my man's truck. Before I get there, I get a text from the promoter for the first spot. He says, it was so funny. He was like, I said, "Hey, man, make sure I'm good with my table and my merch and everything." He hits me back an hour later. "You good?" Spoke to the venue. "Everything's good. They're going to be set up for you. Boom, boom. Nice place, blah, blah, blah. They just want 25% of what you make. Now, for all the people that don't know no better, this is a very old rule and tactic in concert promotion. They really exist. And some people who are still old school still try to apply it. I'm at a level now where I refuse to pay that. So I told him, I said, "Dude, I refuse." "Oh man, no, they're gonna set it up for you." I said, "Brother, what do I look like?" Now that it's one thing if I'm selling merch that somebody else paid for. I invested in this shit. What do I look like giving somebody who didn't sketch a logo, stitch a fabric, print a t-shirt? They did nothing for this thing, and I'm supposed to give 25. I don't even give an agent or manager 25% of their books and shit, but you want this off my clothes. So let me get this straight. The more I make, the more the house makes. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. And everybody's like, "Damn, T, it's so loud. You got all these people. You sure you want to do that?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "We're sold out tomorrow too. So whatever, trust me, I'm going to make it up. Either way, it was gonna level itself out, right?" Sure enough, with my faith and my perseverance, didn't sell her nothing, an iota the first night, before going that night. Next night, go to the Funny Bone, Amir. Got rid of all the hoodies, bro. All the hoodies. I bought 20 hoodies. Gone. T-shirts. Gone. Calendars. I had about 100 of them. 50. Gone. Like hats. Half. Gone. Like, so I made up the same way it would have done, and played out because I had that faith and I stood that ground. So this weekend, I say all to say it was a great weekend. Shout out to everybody that was part of the Def Comedy Jam reunion tour, which was my man Mike Brooks, Hamburger, Bro Man from the Fifth Floor, Chris Thomas, the Mayor, Rap City, myself, Angus Black. When I tell you some phenomenal show, and you, brother, you was with me Tuesday when Chris caught it in the Bronx.
Yes.
And what did I tell you? I said he's going to do good on the weekend because they're more comedy oriented rooms instead of that big wide space like how salsa could be to people.
Yeah.
Salsa could chew you up if you ain't fucking that guy. So he redeemed himself. He had a good time. By the second night, he was a whole different Chris. He was in his swag. He had his shit on, whatever. Boom. Shout out to the birthday girl. Happy birthday to Renee. I told you Renee showed up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, Renee probably got the craziest pregame out of all of us. This heifer always shows up fucked up. And I forgot about the birthday. So when I seen her, she's like, hey, like she making a joke. We setting the table up. Y'all need me to help with the table? I was like, no, we good. And my mom, and I seen a friend with the birthday cake. I said, oh shit, it's a birthday. I can't even get on it because
It's his
that's the
birthday.
shit I encourage. That's what I stand for. So
That
happy
is a,
birthday to Renee. And thank you.
yes,
She came out 8 deep. Thank you for your
nice.
love and support, helping us, do that. And I'm glad she was able to move because originally she bought tickets to the first show and they let her move it to the second show and then they filled those
Nice.
spots. So that all worked out. So long story short, great weekend. Brings me to the next thing. First and foremost, we got a guest coming on later on.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle of the movie or the show, we're gonna about 20 minutes. We're gonna bring in our guest from Nason's Place. This is the thing you hear me talk about from time to time. You see it on my page, big yellow flyer, supporting autism. Every year we do this. She has a son autistic on the spectrum. I have a son on the spectrum, and we've realized the lack thereof, not just fund but resources for autistic kids in the inner city and the communities. So we're doing our part. From here to Newark every year. What we do, we got a lot of people come out. A lot of people make donations. So that's going to be going down the last Thursday of this month.
Nice.
Where are we? In Union, New Jersey. I'll find a flyer and plug it correctly in a minute. But so that's going to be going down 6 to 10 are the hours they do it. And I tell people all the time, even if you can't attend and or don't want to go, whatever, even if you buy a ticket and just that's donation of money, and we give those tickets to people who can use them and enjoy the evening or whatever the case may be. Appreciate you. Shout out to our sponsors, Tito's, and we always have that unlimited sangria going on the joint. It's nice. So you got to check it out one day. It's nice. So she'll be our guest today. We'll talk about that. I'll let her give some background because she's actually more involved in me and got stats and numbers and and not just generally talking like I am. So welcome to Motivation Monday, everybody. Hope everybody like Amir and myself had some sort of productive weekend or a few days. Now, because I went down there, the weather was decent. I don't know how the weather was up here in New York.
It was actually all right. It wasn't too bad here. It was pretty decent here. Quiet as it's kept. It wasn't the weather is doing a funny thing. It's kind of in between, but it was it was enough to be decent. It
It's
wasn't
bugging, ain't it?
great. Huh?
It's bugging. It'll be nice today. It
Yeah.
was nice up until an hour ago.
And then all of a sudden it starts getting chilly or whatever, and you sort of like, what are we doing here? Like, okay, what is the bipolar part? Like, why are we?
Mother Nature's up there doing this. Yeah, at a certain time, she goes. You be somewhere chilling with a short set. This bitch go. Like, what the fuck just happened? She said, I happened, nigga. That's what she
Yeah.
said. No, but
So
yeah, so the weather was good.
yeah. So the weather was good, man. Like I said, the weekend again was all in all was cool. Again, I didn't, get into too much of anything because like I said, I was a bit under the weather yesterday. I did watch that South Carolina, Connecticut game, girls game. That was a really nice treat there. I'm happy for Dawn Staley. Congratulations to her and her team. And then, just really all in all, though, still in good spirits because I had an opportunity to talk to Mom Dukes. And, for those of us who, still have that pleasure, it's always fun when you speak to your parents and you realize that they're in a generation and an era where, they don't understand half the stuff that they're capable of doing now because, it wasn't stuff that was, viable in their upbringing. So my mom's got like a new cell phone and she's like, yeah, I don't know how, but some kind of way I could talk to you on my cell phone through my earpiece. And I'll just be like, okay, Ma, that's great. I love you. And I'm glad that you kind of figuring that out and it's making you feel happy. So we're just going to rock with that.
Right.
Then, quiet as it's kept, and this was, something that I posted late if you saw it. April 1st is my father's birthday. Um, and I didn't get a chance to post on his birthday because I just worked so hard last week. I was just out of sorts. So I did, finally do a post, but my mom's, it was, really more or less for my mom because of, her obviously wanting to celebrate my late dad and, so forth and so on. But part of the quote was, "We don't need another hero." It's a line from, or a few lines from Beyond Thunderdome that my mom likes. So I posted and posted the lines from the song. And I kind of think it ties into, what we're doing every week with this Motivational Monday. We don't need new heroes, y'all. Each and every one of us who do the things that we do, regardless to whether or not you see and or feel as though you're being acknowledged for it, you're a hero. You're a role model. You're somebody who people are taking notice of and trying to emulate in some way, shape, or form. Now, I know that, just based off of what we've been able to see over the last few weeks, Oscars last weekend, the Grammys last night, I didn't see either one of these shows. We start to understand that, yeah, there are specific uh specific spaces and places that we'd like to be acknowledged from or through. But I'd like to encourage everybody who's watching this, please know that every day you look yourself in the mirror, point to that person that you see on the other side, or point to the person you see staring back at you in the mirror, clap, tell them how proud of them you are, and know that that's really all the recognition you need. Is it nice when other recognition comes and is a part of it? No
Mhm.
question. But the reality of it all is we live in a world where, fortunately and unfortunately, people have tied themselves into that and utilize that as their barometer for how they're supposed to judge themselves. And the point to that is, are you serious? If you wait for somebody else to clap for you or to tell you that you dope, you could be waiting forever. So I suggest you learn how to do that for yourself. Take it all in, be in the moment, because so much of this is what you're experiencing. I know also, this weekend that just passed, I saw Marlene Brown is on here. My friend Annie, she doesn't, tune into the show, but I know there's these pop-up shops that these, women are doing and selling merch, and you're doing other, all these various things that mean something to you. That's the point. If you go out, you put yourself out there, you do the work, and whatever the results are you get, be happy and be proud of yourself. If other people cheer and they come to support, great. But you need to know that most of the people closest to you, there's a chance that they may or may not support or cheer for you. Not because they don't want to, but we've been duped into believing this weird ideology that if I support you and you're doing something and it's working out for you, at the same time, some reason I'm being left behind. Unlike the fact that, as Talent shared not too long ago, two comedy shows in the same city, possibly different crowds, and or guess what? There's more than enough people to go around. It's just whatever comedy you find yourself really wanting to be a part of and situate yourself with. But see, we don't think like that. We so
Right.
busy always
Hmm.
trying to outdo each other. We're always so busy trying to force each other to, show our hand. And we should just be in support of and sowing and pouring into each other as much as we possibly can. There's nothing wrong with telling somebody, congratulations, that's dope. Wow, nice. You see a
Right.
picture of your friends, male or female, and they look like something. Hey, all right now, I see you. You're looking good. We got such a weird thing where they don't ever say anything about my pictures. Who cares? Who cares? If you feel like you need to say something to them or support them, then do what makes sense to you. Your you're doing the right thing only has to do with you and the universe. That's it. It
That's
doesn't
it.
have anything to do with them. And the beauty of it is, I promise you, when you start taking in and appreciating all of those things, you'll see the results of that manifesting themselves in your life. You'll find that all kind of doors are opening and people are wanting to be a part of whatever you're doing just based off the fact that you have done that for somebody else. It's a universal law. I always smile because everybody's into the churches, and do y'all really read these books? Do y'all really pay attention to the stuff that it's telling you? I I, I just wonder sometimes because I watch people time and time again do stuff that it just never cease to amaze me. I'd be like, what? Like why? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just say, hey, I'm proud of you, congratulations, do the damn thing? And here's the thing. Let's just say they do something that puts them into the next stratosphere. Again, that's a beautiful thing because that means there's the possibility of somebody else emulating and or finding something else close to that that can put them in the same kind of stratosphere. What
And
what what else is there?
that's a real deal Holyfield right there, what you said. And speaking of your words of wisdom and like motivating words, I don't know if you remember my boy promoter Das.
Okay, and
You
not
know, but
ringing
Das
a bell.
promoted a lot of comedy stuff. He had a couple of venues. He owned one here in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
He had one 34th Street.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was an Irish pub he ended up taking over down there. But anyway, I bring him up because the funny thing about Das is he was this he was a certain way. Not saying good, bad, or indifferent, but you know how you know somebody to be a certain way, right? And then one day they wake up and they far left or right. And you're like, damn, he was never like this, right? And again, I'm not talking about good or bad, whatever. In this case, Das, he like Tony Woods has these group chats, you know, with comedian friends and stuff. And he sends literally every day, he sends a prayer or a verse out of the Bible. Something, you know, positive and motivating, stuff like that. So this has been going on for years. And then all of a sudden, like I think like when the pandemic hit or last year or something, I started getting something similar from Docs, like these uplifting, you know, words or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, because I knew him how I knew him, I couldn't take it serious. I mean, I could, but I felt I couldn't. So I was like, I look at it like this nigga, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I have this thing of I have a hang up on feeling if something's genuine or not. And because I knew him, like I said, the way I knew him, and he was never that guy that quoting religion positive. So when I was seeing it, my first reflex is to go and be like, you know, because I a lot of people, and this is a message I want to put out there today. A lot of people call on God when they need something. And it ain't got to be just God. I'm just using the word, people, is whoever your higher power is. But a lot of people call on this higher power when they find themselves destitute or need something. And I'm here to tell you that's not how faith works. You know, I'm not going to sound churchy. I'm just sound real generalized. The way faith in anything works is you have to have faith in it, like all the time, even when it seems grim, even when it didn't come through last time. You know what I mean? Like you sitting there praying, I get $100, pay my light bill so they don't cut it off. Pray, and you don't get the 100, and the lights go off for a minute. You know what I mean? Until you get them back on, and then now you cursing whoever that faith is out. Faith doesn't work like that. The fact that you thought back and said, "Fuck whatever faith you was praying to," because that didn't happen in your timely fashion because you wanted it in your time. We have to, you know, give the benefit of the doubt of faith. So I don't know what it is that changed this man to make him send these positive things, but I did read today's, and I said I'm gonna read this shit on Motivation Monday because I like, you know what I mean. It was very one of those encouraging things. Again, shout out to my man Das from Das Entertainment. Derek Das, and I'm gonna read this. It says, "Sometimes we should take the time to motivate or encourage others, uplift others, or speak positive direction to others. Not only does that help nourish the soul of others, but it releases our positive spirit and energy. Sometimes a small or simple kind gesture can be the catalyst that releases and unlocks the door that releases that enormous blessing for both parties involved. Um, it's our job to encourage and uplift. It's not our job to judge and put down. Imagine a world where we all just uplift and encourage each other all the time rather than condemn or judge each other, you know, who are temporarily lost. Somebody gets temporary loss and it automatically be crazy with the judgment. As there's still breath in the body, there is still hope and a chance for the soul. It's never the size of our gestures. It's simply the act of our gestures. All right. Don't just receive your blessings, but be a blessing. Wishing a blessed day and positive Monday to all involved. Now, what comes to mind when I get to the part of rather than condemn or judge others who are temporary loss. So, you know, the slap is still in the news.
Yeah.
And what immediately came to mind was, you know, Will, you know, where We're all human. We make mistakes. And I said this earlier last week. I said, I know as soon as he did it, you start to feel your mind is the ultimate judge and jury, whether you people know it or not. Before anybody ever even comes and judge you and be the jury, your mind is the first trial, right? So when
Yeah.
you do something, your mind, some of y'all call it conscience, but your mind goes, shit, we fucked up now. Why did we do that? So I'm sure my brother's going through his own turmoil with that. So it just brought the brother to mind, and of course brought the whole thing period to bring up on the show, because you just touched on it, which reminded me of. You just touched on it by saying there's nothing wrong with us uplifting and sticking up and applauding, and like, I see you, girl, you look good today. Oh, your birthday hat, whatever. Oh, I see you out there doing it. Support you. How could I support you? Blah blah blah. That's why I brought up the event for autism.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's Jersey. A lot of people can't. Listen, but if you care about it and it's something touch your soul or touch your heart, send a donation or whatever the case may be. But I said this before when we was talking about the slap, and I said we have a problem with when we check each other. We let every other race in this country check us, even out of this country, even abroad. We'll just let people of other races check the shit out of us. And the minute we go and do a self-check, we go off the fucking handle.
Yeah.
Because the conditioning and brainwashing of the African American person in America is so deeply embedded. Now think about how deep this is before I even finish saying it. It's so deeply embedded that we abide by and believe in what they told themselves. So in other words, how they trained themselves to treat the African American here, we're
We've
doing it.
adopted.
And we are the African American. So we do
We've
it to each other.
adopted. We've
Think
adopted.
about how deep that shit is, bro.
Yeah.
You're black. We're black people. We're African American in this country. And the brainwashing and the stereotypes and all these things are so deeply embedded, and even us, and they're talking about us, and they feel this way about us, but we adapt that, and that's how we move and maneuver to the same games and rules and judgments and all of that with each other.
You know what's so crazy about it? It's two things. First off, it is amazing that we even do that because we know as a collective, and when I say collective, I mean all the diasporas of our makeup. We just move differently. We do things differently. We see the world differently. We act upon the world differently. And we do this just because, in a real sense, one, we're chosen in a lot of ways. Whether you believe this or not, we're chosen. Look at it for what it is. Like I said, we're responsible for mathematics and science. We're responsible for architecture. We're responsible for so many things that have benefited this world. But the second part to that, which I think is so funny, because just before we got on here, I watched the end of The Great Debaters, literally just before we got on to do our show today. And I don't know if y'all remember the very end of the movie when the young man gives the speech about how they had saw a lynching on their way to traveling to where I guess they were going to do the debate. And he was saying how they pressed their noses to the floorboard and they watched this person get lynched and they burned him up and this and that. And he said, what was the dude's crime? We have we have gotten so used to Talent's point of condemning ourselves in the wake of anything because we turn on ourselves so quickly. Like it is the most amazing thing to me. And I always find it almost disheartening because if we're not supporting each other and if we're not bigging each other up and if we're not looking at it through the lens that we should be looking at it through, which is how we carry ourselves and what we really endured and the way that we always have to be the bigger people and all these nefarious things that we do, then what are we doing? I get it. Look, there is nothing more upsetting than seeing us sometimes be in the spaces that we're in, but it's real because of what we really have to go through. As I stated, I'm home. I was home all day today because of a situation related to the COVID situation. Now, the fun thing about it is I'm not budging off of where I stand. I'm not budging off my moral compass. And I've been approached by everybody, within my company who's like, hey, what do you think about this? And, you're going to destroy your legacy. Part of having a legacy is standing for something. Now, this is, something that we would usually swing to on Friday night, but I'm just going to say this real quick. The funny thing about our country and the funny thing about us as a people is we, again, will not stand behind each other until years later when those people who stood in those moments are proven to be right. Muhammad Ali, y'all told this man he was crazy for not wanting to fight the war, blah, 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 blah. Years later, you know what? He was right. Colin Kaepernick, one of our most recent situations, same thing. His kneeling is against the flag and it's disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. Years later, he was correct. When are we going to start looking at situations in the moment and going, you know what? There probably is some validity to this, and I probably need to be on the right side of history starting here and now. And we'll worry about all this other stuff as it unfolds. We are the one group of people who truly don't do that. My mom said this, and again, this is to show you how funny stuff is. And if, I'm saying anything wrong, please, y'all correct it, write it in the chat. Have y'all seen the refugees from the Ukraine? All of these people are coming over here. They're dressed extremely well, down coats, new shoes, sneakers. That don't look like people who've been in a war-torn situation. Y'all go look at the pictures. Go look at the pictures. So is it really going down, or is it something that they're making up to sidetrack us, to bring in other nefarious stuff that they think we won't pay attention to? Now, I'm not saying that to be funny and or facetious. I'm just telling y'all, look at it for what it is. It's scary because that's what they do. They sidetrack us by having us watch this hand. Then they doing all kind of crazy stuff to you with this hand. We have to do better at understanding the moments and knowing that our job is to truly, truly stay in the moment, really focus on what is being said. Use your critical thinking caps. I know y'all put those away after you got out of elementary school, but I'm going to need some of y'all to bring those back out. Start using your critical thinking caps again, because Lord knows, like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? It is the most amazing thing to me, T, but you're absolutely right. We are more hypocritical of ourselves through other people's lenses and eyes than they are. And I'm like, y'all are utilizing their way of looking at us as your way of looking at us? Come on, y'all. We got to do better.
And
We got to do better.
that's deep to me, man. Like I've never ceased to amaze different components of this, what we call, this brainwashing. And it's a whitewashing, but it's done mostly on the brains of us.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I think when I go back to the slap, that's the thing that upset me the most out of all the little bags I unpacked, was that I really, really was connected and was feeling for the Questlove situation.
Yeah.
For something to be locked away 50 plus years, and for no other reason, just to keep it whitewashed, just to keep Woodstock out there and that back. And then for that to happen at that specific moment in time was like, I've heard of coincidences, but God damn, like, I think that hurt me as a black dude probably the most, and then everything else fell behind that. But yeah, man, I mean, that's some shit that, we got to work on. We're going to come right back to that. We're not going to drop that, but I want to get our guest in here while we got it in.
Yes.
From Nason's place, my girl Nadine is in the building. The dog is crazy. My dog got to go out. Clap it up for our guest. Nason's place, CEO, founder, creator, whatever titles we could give her. Represent autism for the hood. Yay, yay. That's my man, Cool Bubba Ice. Yay, yay. So, Nadine, welcome to the show, Motivation Monday. Welcome back, because you've been on here before.
I have. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're going to be on here every year. Every year that we're doing it. This is an important thing. This is a big deal for us every year. That's, you remember my guy, Amir, right there. So this right here. So now this is a different place for us.
Yeah, we're going to Costa del Sol this year. We were there last year. Last year was our first year there, before we were at the golf club.
Got you. Okay, so back at Costa del Sol, let me ask you these few questions for people that don't know. Let's start re-educating again from the beginning. How did this start? What is it, and what do we do?
Well, Nason's Place is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was started in 2012. Talent, can you believe we can already celebrate 10 years?
That's crazy.
Nice. Nice.
That's crazy.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
crazy, man. I could believe it though.
Yeah,
Well,
10
nice.
years, 10 years of helping to enrich and make a difference in the lives of children and families affected by autism, especially those in and around underserved inner city communities, because they're so left out of the resources that could be available to them because of the environment or the community that we in and the lack of funding in some of these families. They can't get the programs. But it's inspired by my own son, Nason, who's on the autism spectrum. He was diagnosed almost 16 years ago. Believe it or not, Talent, he's almost 18 years old on July
Yo,
28th.
time flies. My son is what, 26?
Yeah. Nason is going to be 18, and we're going to have a huge birthday celebration. We want to invite everyone out to come and celebrate because he's the reason so many children in and around underserved inner city communities are now getting access to affordable programs such as summer camps, Saturday enrichment programs. We have support groups, sensory-friendly movie days. We were able to provide after-school programs when we get funding. The one thing about Nason's Place, we're a grassroots organization. We started from the ground up.
Yeah.
So we don't get a lot of the funding that a lot of those national organizations get. And unfortunately, that money doesn't come back down to us. A lot of people have this misconception that when those larger organizations collect money, that it comes back to the grassroots organizations. Unfortunately, a lot of us never see a penny of it. So that's why it's important to do your research to make sure you know where your funding is going. But we've been very fortunate. We've had some amazing community partners. We just hosted the first annual Autism Awareness Family Fund / Resource Day in partnership with the City of Newark, Mayor Ross J.
Nice.
Baraka, C. Lawrence Crump, Councilman, and the Newark Municipal Council, along with Empower You and Partnership for Children. It was our first attempt. And when I tell you it was a huge event, it was so successful.
Nice.
We had barbers, we had Kid Zone. It was amazing. And most importantly, the mayor came out. For those of you who don't know Nason's Place, we were gifted a building 3 years ago by the mayor because he saw the work that we were doing in the community and he knew that we needed
Nice.
our own home. Now we need
Beautiful.
some funding. So I go.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I said no. Beautiful. I mean, first and foremost, congratulations on such an amazing, amazing organization, and to, like you said, take the time to really bring the awareness. So often in our community, as you stated, we are underserved, and then we're just not looked upon, just for various reasons. But if you could speak to a little bit to how wonderfully this has gone for you since its inception to where you are now, because as you said, you're almost 10 years now into this process. What do like what how is that, how have you watched the process grow, and what are you taking away from all of the various moments?
Forgive me. The way the process, honestly, it's taken off as a mother of a child with autism who went searching for programs 16 years ago when I couldn't find any in my community. It led me on this journey of why aren't there programs that are accessible and affordable to me in my community. I live in Essex County, New Jersey. And, originally I just wanted respite. It's very overwhelming raising a child on the spectrum. And the spectrum is so broad because we have children who are highly functional that can function just like you and I. And then we have some who are a little more challenged and need assistance even to go to the bathroom. For example, my son was 9 years old before he even went to the bathroom on his own. He was
Right.
still wearing diapers. These children have behaviors that are very challenging. They have something that I call involuntary meltdowns. So to watch all this and not be able to find the supports that we need to help these children, unfortunately, there's no known cure for autism, but there is help if they're able to get the services they need early, such as ABA, OT, speech, PT. These things will help the children at least improve in their performance or in what they can do. But if they miss out, one thing about the Black and brown community that I want to just mention, we so often don't get our children diagnosed sooner rather than later. So, because of the stigma associated with autism, parents don't want to think that there's anything wrong with their children. We want to ignore it. We can't ignore it. But this journey has taught me that so much more is needed for our family. So much, I believe autism is a health crisis in our community. And no one's really talking about it, especially when it affects Black and brown children as much as I think they should. So, I can't stop the diagnosis through Nason's Place, but what we can do is provide these families with resources and supports. And if we
Right.
can't provide it, we will actually find an organization or a business that can provide it.
You know why? You know why that money is not trickling down to the grassroots organization? You know, all that money is gone. Sally Struthers is taking all that damn money. Them kids, 60 cents a day. How about we stop giving them kids that money?
You
You know,
know, you
but
ain't lying, T.
yeah,
But
yeah.
for
You know what I
years,
mean? Like this is real. This is in our communities. This is in our face. Like, and not that I know any Black people that really, really send their money over and get their credit card to that, but I just think it's amazing. Even in joking, if we look at the serious size of it, somebody's supporting that. You can tell by the amount of airtime. When somebody has an amount of airtime, let you know the type of money that's being raked in by said organization. Now, by working with this, our part in this, we do comedy for a cause and attach, you know, with Nason's Place. And when I tell you the first time she called me, and I told you this when I met you, Nate, I was like, this was very weird, divine intervention. She don't know me from a can of paint. She don't know that I have an autistic son. Like this really like kind of scared me a little bit. Like, I'm like, where this coming from? Like God just sent somebody and said, oh nigga, you gonna keep acting like you don't need help. Right. So send me her. She's talking to me and I'm like, of course we'll do it. And what's the second part that's most overwhelming, Nadine, I don't know if you noticed, but when I placed those calls from the day one, from the very first one that we helped her with, now it's like in what we call autopilot. You know, I don't place half the calls anymore. They call me. Like, soon as it's coming up, they go, hey, man, the autism thing, man, you need me. Can I donate my time? Blah, blah, blah. Can I come over there? And I'm like, you know what? That's so dope. And that answers your question on my end, Amir. Like, from then and now, like, from then, I'm calling, hey, the date, can you do it? I know I don't have the money. It's for worthy cause, blah, blah, blah. You know, now, fast forward years, and now it's like, hey, T, what's the date on that thing for autism? And I like to do my part. You know what I mean? So I think that's a blessing on top of blessings. Again, I keep telling people, Nadine, as I've been talking about it for the last 3 weeks straight, I be saying to people like, look, even if it's a thing that you can't make, understand the bigger picture of the organization. And if you want to donate 2 tickets, that's a donation. You know what I mean? If you say, oh, you know what, I can't make it, but let's pay for 4 tickets or whatever, that money comes in, that right there is a donation in a sense. You know, it may be 4 people that consider the table, or just a straight donation that goes into Nason's Place and for a worthy cause. Because, like she said, she's never lied when she said our community. We were guilty of that. Me and my son's mom, of the late diagnosis, because we didn't want to believe nothing was wrong with Justin. You know, and even when she went, because she lived south, and was telling me about it, I'm just taking it all in, because every time I'm with him, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't believe it. And the one time, because she's so far up the spectrum, the one time that was a giveaway is they had came out with these incredible Hulk boxing gloves, right? I never forget this. And I'm down south visiting, and I got him in the mall, and he sees them in the window, his eyes light up, and he's like, yo, I want these, boom, boom. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, I think like, I don't know, 18 and change or 7 something. And I give him a 20. And I said, go get it. And me and my boy, my road manager at the time, we sitting outside the store talking, waiting. He gets it, he comes out, and he's like, he's just so excited about what he got. Me, I think this is a teachable moment, you know, because I was a math major. So I'm like, all right, how much was it? I look at the receipt. All right, and how much they gave you back? And, you know, I'm trying to do a math the traditional way, and he's not getting it. And we're going back and forth. And at some point, at 2 times, I'm thinking, oh, he testing me. He playing with me, right? He just want to play with these gloves. After 3 or 4 times, he said something back to me that was not the traditional math way. I got the number. He got the number, but not the way that I was trying to get him to get the number. And I was like, and I called his mom right away, and I was like, yo, the craziest thing just happened. Then we had a conversation with another level ripped away. Now all the superficial, yeah, whatever was ripped away. And we started to have honest to God dialogue and conversations of the direction going forward. So you're absolutely right about that. You know what I mean? And let me ask you this, Nadine, coming into this is an annual thing. So for anybody that tuned in late, and we do it in Jersey every year. Like she said, we've been at the golf course, which was a lot of fun. Here's the thing, Nadine. People don't really care. They care about the cause, right? So if we here or there, I know you care because of optics and aesthetics and stuff, but people care about that damn unlimited sangria. People care about the Tito's. Let's talk about this shit. Which is kind of which is kind of crazy in itself, because we parents try and take care of these autistic kids. We drunk as hell.
We need it after taking care of the kids. That's even with an atypical child. But remember, Talon, Nason is 6'6", 340 pounds. When I tell him he can't have some food, we're in trouble. So, but I will tell you, I'm pleased to say that Tito's is back as our sponsor this year for the event. So you'll be seeing some Tito's.
Oh, thank God.
And I got to tell you, one of the reasons we moved the venue from the Galloping Hill Golf Club to the Casa del Sol because of COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID is real. As you know, the golf club is enclosed. And, last year we were just coming out of it. So I didn't want, we wanted to do the comedy show because we still needed funding. We were really hurt by COVID in terms of getting funding. But it was important to get a venue that had some outdoor space. And now that we're doing it in late April, like we did last year, we want to still make sure that people are safe and coming out. And it's better to do it in an outdoor environment where we have the opportunity to close it in if it does rain, which we hope it won't. But to me, it was more of a safety reason. But we still got that unlimited sangria.
Yeah, that joint is crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my girl, the queen, the CEO, the founder, Nason's Place. April 28th is Thursday, 6 p.m. We do our thing, Comedy for a Cause, out in Union, New Jersey, at the Casa del Sol, which is 2443 Vauxhall Road in Union, New Jersey. Again, this is 10 years we're celebrating. And the donation for tickets is not much. It's $80. And they got the unlimited sangria. They lay the food out. It's a wonderful thing. And I do like the new venue because of the reason you just said. Like, it fit the COVID protocol that we had to go through. And more importantly, if it rained, we had the luxury of leaving everything wide open or enclosing it. And it does as well. It does like 100% well. I look forward to it. That's why I wanted to get you on. Probably shout it out every Monday leading up into this thing, and just keep doing what you're doing, man, because sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees because we're a horse running a race, and we got those blinders on the side, and we just trying to get to that finish line, and then negating that by doing that, we don't get to see all the lives that we touch and make a difference in. You know what I mean? And I applaud you. That's why I wanted to have you on here. Thank you for coming on, giving us some time. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Talon. Let me just say this. We couldn't do what we do without people like you who open up your hearts and bring out the comedians to come out and do this for our cause. So I thank you for 10 years, like, who knew? And, just anybody out there that's listening right now, if you need help, if you're struggling, you see the signs and you want someone to talk to, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us at www.nasonsplace.org. We can't stop the diagnosis, but we can help the families affected by it. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you on the 28th.
Thank you, girl. Keep being a superhero. You the real MVP, girl. I'm gonna
Thank you.
I'll call you after. I'm gonna go fuck Sally Struthers up, and then I'll call you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you.
No disrespect in real life to Sally Struthers. I actually like her.
Yeah.
I just think that's the only flack I give that type of thing when they do the whole 60 cent a day, because every kid, I don't care where you at, we do need kids need help, and we do need the help.
Yes.
I just always compare it to us in our communities, how, again, goes back to what I say about us checking ourselves. You know, when it's somebody else, man, we drop a lifeline. We put ourselves on, at risk. We do a lot of stuff that we just don't do when it's time to check ourselves. And I'm always going to check us on not checking ourselves or allowing it to be. If it's going to help us, and we can do something to help somebody else like her. Like, I know she reminds me of myself the way she working, man. She be working, right, and getting her thing done. And yeah, she get her donations. The event goes good, and she shakes some hands, takes some pictures and stuff. But a lot of people like us do not take. Remember that the time we were saying, there was somebody who said, "What would you do different if you went back?" And he said, "Yo, I would tell my younger self to stop down and take in what I'm doing, these accolades and these different things, because you're just doing. And then at the end, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I had so many great conversations this weekend about something like relating to that form of fashion that I was like really soaking up a lot of moments. And it was like everybody was in this, the stars aligned, so to speak. So everybody was in a certain space that made it easy, you know. And when people were coming out to interview everybody in the green rooms and all these interviews and stuff, you know, the energy was just, it was crazy. Like, nobody, it's hard when you get 5 or 6 guys on the show and nobody's actually hating on the other, or like you said, looking for them to do bad, or it was, that energy just wasn't there. Like, people was going up there doing their job and then coming back and waiting for the next time to do their job. And you know what I mean? And to put what made it so crazy is we always on the same page. Like when people needed rest, it was like everybody needed rest at the same time. So it wasn't like, you know, people pulling you out of your zone. Yo, let's do this. Come on. It wasn't even like that. Like, we did them jobs. We got that little bit of rest that we got. We loaded up them vehicles. We drove 3.5, 4 to the next spot. You know, we had about, I don't know, 2.5 hours downtown, just grab something to eat and shit, shower, shave. And then you was back at the office. You know what I mean? Then it was back second show at the office. And then a bump. Like, so I just appreciate, I'm stopping down basically to appreciate recognizing that different energy, you know?
Yeah. It's again, like I said, it's so imperative because you look up and you realize that, time obviously is always ever moving. Um, Even when you're paying attention, it's still moving at a rate that almost seems incredible. Um, April is a interesting month, for me, only because I spoke to my best friend today and he said something to me that just blew my mind. Like I said, my father's birthday is the first, and my partner in crime, my right hand man, his wife, it'll be a year since he lost the end of this month, the 30th. And he said that to me today, and he said he had a moment. He looked on the calendar. Today was April 2nd. Or, yesterday he looked on the calendar. He broke down because he was like, Dad, 28 days later, obviously he lost his wife. But I bring that into the conversation, not to be a downer. I bring that into the conversation again to add to what we're saying. If you're not taking every moment you can to not only soak it in, but to, like I said, pat yourself on the back. Be happy about your journey and how far you've come, because so many of us, we're on our own individual journeys where we're trying to be better versions of ourselves than we were yesterday, the week before, a year ago, 2 years ago. So when you start taking into account how much work you've done and seeing the end result of it, meaning, wow, I'm in a better headspace.
Right.
Maybe my health is better. Maybe I've, reconnected with a family member or a friend or whatever the case may be. All these things are positive steps forward and ways for you to be able to say to yourself, oh my God, I'm doing all right. Like, this is good. But don't short yourself by saying, I'm not here. I didn't get to this yet. I didn't do that yet. You're on your way. And even if you never make it, at least you've been taking the steps necessary to get there. That's the most important part. It's the whole journey. It's not always the finish line. A lot of times it is truly the journey itself that is the most incredible part of all of the stuff that you're going to experience in your life. It really is. And when you take a moment and you really, sit down for a minute and just look back, and I don't care what it is, because everybody seems to believe, well, you was around this star-studded situation, or you was around that star-studded situation. Star-studded or not, as long as it was a dope moment, it was a dope moment. Your job isn't to compare your moments to somebody else's moments. Your job is to take your moment, be as absolutely over the top as you can be about it, and then keep thinking to yourself like, "Wow, I'm looking to string together some more of that stuff because that was pretty cool." You
Right.
know what I mean?
Hell yeah. I mean, it is what it is, bro. Like, this is when you let me help people out when you, because some people are probably saying to themselves, we talk about getting into this space, and I know it's a bunch of people that don't even know when they in the good space. Um, one of the signs when you're in a good space is you take more time in the menial things in life, like meaning, because we all take time with shit that's deep or heavy or big or important. That's just human nature. But when you give yourself moments to take time and little stuff that it's neither here nor there, but you say, you know what, let me read this, or let me investigate this, or let me look this up, or let me do my due diligence and research, or however it is you find that information out. It may not be that deep. I'm laughing at myself because the whole time of the show, I'm looking at this article. I got CNN open in the background, and there's an article in there, and they're breaking down why coffee makes you go to the bathroom, why it make you take a shit. Now, to 90% of the people on this show listening right now, it's like, give a fuck about that. Right. That's my point. Me neither. But I'm such in a good place and a good vibe today. And I'm looking at the headlines and I go, I want to know why I shit. It's going to break it down. I want to know. Like, that, by the time I read that, I'm going to be this much wiser on said topic. I know
Yes.
something now, those 15 minutes later after I read that I didn't know 15 minutes before that. So this is
Big
what I
time.
mean by recognizing when you're in a decent space, when you will find intriguing moments, like with the most menial stuff. There's nothing big about it, but makes you go, oh, let me read that. Let me do that, whatever case may be. Every book I read is not necessarily needed, doesn't necessarily connect with me sometime in any form or fashion. It's just curiosity. I mean, look at the individual. Let's say it's a autobiography or something. I mean, look at the individual. Go, you know what? I wouldn't mind hearing their story, or is about something. You know what? I don't know the details in that. I want to know that. So, and sometimes I think, to me, my opinion, it's better when it's not something that's so easily connected to you. Because if it's already easily connected to you and you have some sort of information about that thing, are you really learning that much? You know, you're reading something you already knew, in other words. So are you advancing, or are you just entertaining yourself with no advancement? Because if I pick something up that I don't know. I remember I never bought political books, right? About probably about 8, 9 years now, maybe 8, 9 years ago. I'm in the airport. Shit, it might be longer than that. Anyway, I'm in the airport, and if I forget a book in the house and I feel like reading, I'll just buy another book. I'll find something, right? So I'm in the bookstore in the airport, and I see this book. I forget the name. It's on my shelf, but Jimmy Carter's book, the old ex-president. And I remember being one of the few people, once I started to engage in politics or talk about politics, I remember this consensus of people had resentment a little bit for Jimmy in his day, because very similar to now, inflation was kicking in, a lot of gas and stuff going up and everything. We had towards the end of his thing, they had the hostage thing go on for 100 something,
Hostage
long time.
crisis.
Right. So it was a few things that, people had a sort of bad taste in their mouth for the ex-president Jimmy Carter. So I said, you know what? Let me read this book. I read like a couple of the mentions and stuff. So I read this book, and it actually was such a good book. I think I finished that shit like, I don't know, 2, 3 days. I did like every minute I was just reading. And that shit was big. That shit was thick. Like, wasn't a little book. But I found so much shit I didn't know in there. Not, I mean, obviously shit about his life I didn't know you learn, but I mean shit like how the White House protocol as a president. That shit was blowing my mind. Because we just think, oh, he's in the president, you in there, you eating whenever you want to eat, you're doing, they bring me a sandwich, blah, blah, blah. The funny shit is, you get a certain amount of shit you get, but You got to pay for a lot of shit. Like being in a restaurant. These motherfuckers living in a White House is similar to being in a restaurant where they get a fucking bill.
Wow.
And you got to fucking pay. And like sometimes those dinners we hear about and the entertainment foreign, whatever, if it ain't under certain guidelines, that's you throwing a party, paying for your own party.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So you may want to meet with a motherfucker, the president of Zelensky, and it ain't on the books or ain't no need to, but you do. That you got to cater. You got taking the nigga to an expensive restaurant. You got to pay that shit because because the necessary stuff comes out of the taxpayer, and then there's all that extra shit like you getting up at 2 a.m, nigga, wanting peanut butter and jelly, nigga. There's a price for that.
That is interesting. Wow.
That's what I said. But imagine that's my whole point. Is like this book. I had no connection to it. It wasn't in my realm of my daily going ons and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I used to I don't know, for whatever reason, people resonate with me, like their character through the tube sometimes. And I just picked up that this is a nice guy. And I like Jimmy Carter. I was too young to be into the policies and all that shit, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, let me read it. And it was a real thick fucking book. And I read it. Same thing with Cosby book. You know what I mean? And just random stuff that you pick up. I think that the further you go away from what you already know and what you may have in common is the more knowledge you gain.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that that's imperative too, because, you know, as you move through these various circles and, you know, spaces and places that you're going to be in, the conversations are going to change.
Facts.
And, you know, the more you prepare yourself for those kinds of conversations, whatever they may be, the doper it is. Because there's nothing worse than sitting around a group of people and you can't contribute. You sit there looking stupid.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling, bro.
You know what I mean? So it behooves us all to learn new things, try new things, expand yourself, expand, you know, everything there is to expand about yourself. Because in the final analysis, these are all things to motivate you. These are all things to motivate the people around you. Because as I started off by saying in the beginning, people are always watching you, whether they acknowledge it or not. You can't really worry about that. You just got to go out every day, like I said, and, you know, pat yourself on the back, be happy about, you know, what you're doing and how you're going about things, and know that your body of work is phenomenal no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does. And I hope that, you know, you guys not only take that in, but I hope you really do take that and really apply it to your lives, because we're here every week. And I'm just happy to get here every week and have an opportunity to share with you.
Right.
My partner in crime, Talent, I enjoy the fact that we come off the weekends and, you know, we both talk about our weekends, but then we try to get right to it. And we're trying to give you some things that hopefully will be able to apply to your lives and the lives of the people around you. Because at the end of the day, like I said, sewing into each other, paying attention to one another, loving on each other, and all of those beautiful things are what's going to allow us all to always be in the best spaces and places we could be in possibly. As always, you know, I love you guys. It's Monday night. I always say this. It's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. Take that with you. And I promise you, it'll open doors and get you in spaces and places you couldn't even begin to imagine. Big shout out to Prophet P, our producer.
Super producer.
And big shout out to all of the wonderful people who tune in every week and allow Talent Now to pour into your lives. Sharonda, Miss Drew, Miss Alfreda, Marlene, all of you guys. We couldn't do this show without you guys and your support. So thank you to all of you. We appreciate you. We love you, Sharonda, everybody. Let's have a great one, people.
Peace.